Everybody, it is day 5. I am very, very happy to be here with you guys. How's your week been? I'd love to see who is here with me and see how your week has been painting and juggling life and all the other things that I know that every week brings. And I'm really, really proud of you because I feel like whenever I think about what does it take to, to paint every day, it takes some dedication and commitment, doesn't it? So, Terry, super awesome to have you here. I'm just starting to see things come in. Nancy, good morning from Iowa. Jill, happy that you are here again from Wyoming. Jules from Camino. Yeah, it looks like you guys are halfway in conversations already. So, this is going to be fun. I think that I'm all set up. I've got a blank canvas again today. You can see, I just decided that maybe yesterday was a good idea to start without anything on there. So everybody has, square, or we're just starting with the same thing. You don't have to worry about toning your canvas or anything like that. So if you did tone your canvas, that's okay, but if you didn't, that's also okay. I don't think I can show you too big, but you can kind of see I finally got word back from my commission people on that commission back there, which is great. So I'm going to sign that today and ship it off pretty soon, and that'll be fun. This is what we're going to be painting today. It's actually right before sunrise, like right before the sun came up over the hills over there. And I was surprised because I was like down at the beach, and this was really early in the morning because this is the middle of the summer and the sun comes up really early. And I did not expect to find anybody down at the beach. And then there were these young guys. Now, I just thought this was really funny. David did this yesterday, and he said that this is my palette from the first day. And I don't know, it might be from one of the challenges. I'm not exactly sure if it was what I actually painted. And somehow he made a face out of it. So I thought that was kind of clever. Anyways, I think you guys are doing amazing stuff in here. Just fun to see. So, whoa. Today's painting only took me 5 hours. You were going above and beyond. So, really, really fun. I love the spring colors and things going on. This was a fun one. That was from a couple days ago, I remember. But anyways, good job, you guys. It's going to be fun. So, remember that tonight. And again, if you don't know where to find the reference photo, go to where you signed up, acrylicuniversity.com, and click on KickstART, and you can find it right here. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I guess I'll just get started. Super, super good. Okay, I'll put this up just one more time. In fact, if you are, I think that just went through. If you want to see that was what I just did. But if you want to click on that link in the let me just see here. I might just see if this works. Can you guys chat a little bit here? I'm gonna see if these chats come up actually, because then everybody could see the things that I see. But if you want me to switch it back to, I will. I want to see what happens if people actually chat, because it's supposed to pull them and put them all on the same thing. Okay, testing, perfect. Okay, see how that says just generic, excuse me, Facebook user? That is what it does from, oh, good. Okay, perfect. So, but that's what it looks like for me. And some of you guys are on Facebook, some of you guys are on YouTube. and it doesn't matter where you are, but these things show up like this for me if you're not logged in. So if you want to be logged in, you can go to, look at that. Thanks, everybody. Super fun. Okay. So you can tell me, though, if you don't want to see all that chat on the screen. I'm happy to go back to the other way. But I am going to start painting here. Now, I should put on the reference photo so at least you can see a teensy bit of that. Oh, you guys are going to have too much fun. Too much fun with coffee and all that. You know what I've always thought is, man, I need a coffee too. That wasn't what I was going to say, but you know what I think about art is that art is really fun and really challenging at the same time, right? Like it's super fun and it's hard, and that's why it's fun. That's why it's engaging. But sometimes if you only are like stuck by yourself, all you experience is the challenging part of it. And it's like, I thought this was supposed to be fun too, but it's not being very fun for me right now. And I think that that's what I like about this kind of thing, is like being together is fun. And I'm not going to use this color. I was grabbing a marker to make my first marks, and then it's that I don't think I really want to use red. Okay, I'm going to grab a black marker just for fun. Okay. That sounds good. I will switch it back. I can still see all your comments if I switch it back. You guys just will miss out on some of each other's. But that is okay. Okay. So we've got the horizon line. Like this water line is kind of pretty far up. Like one of the things that I like to do is kind of imagine, okay, you know, if we were measuring off, you know, the canvas, and there's different ways to divide your canvas. It's not always the best to use a really big, but if you make a line, you know, from one corner to the next, that's like the easiest way to find the center of your canvas. And if you're thinking about design and you're thinking about all that, then you don't want to put your center of interest in the center of your painting. So I know artists who will make this mark at the very beginning when they're drawing their thing on, just so they know, okay, this is the center of the painting. Whatever I do, I want to make sure that I don't put my center of interest, my focal point right there. You know, even off a little bit is helpful. And every once in a while, you'll see something that breaks the rule and it works, and that's awesome. But the general rule is, you know, you want to be off in one of the you know, the intersecting lines. So the other thing that you can do is divide your painting in thirds, of course, like this, and thirds this way. And then you have, you know, this idea of the, like, I don't know what they call it, golden rule or golden mean or golden something, you know, like, but the idea that like these intersecting points are all good places to put your focal point. And you have to draw really, oh, you can hardly even see my pencil marks, but that was the point, because I didn't want to do it with this. But the other thing that I like to do when I'm designing a painting is I like to think about, you know, if this is halfway, like right there, and I'm looking at this reference up here, okay? So if I'm trying to point at it so we can all see it at the same time. So that's about halfway. Well, where is that line right there? That is like, maybe it's about a quarter of the way down, right? So finding where things enter and exit your painting can be helpful, because it's just like, you know, it takes a little guesswork out. And the other thing that's kind of cool is, you know, if you have a reference photo, you can always do a grid on there. And if you have it in the same dimensions, the same ratio, like a square photo and a square canvas, you can do a grid on your photo and you can do a grid on your canvas. And it's a really simple way of transferring over that information. So I've got this little, let's see if I can use this little thing to make a straight line here. So we've got a line here. We've got, this is about where all this stuff happens, and there's some, you know, logs and stuff. And then this bigger log that these guys are standing on kind of here. And then this other guy is sitting over here. So one of them is almost like he's just to the left of, or to the right of the halfway mark. And he goes up probably about to there. And the reason I chose this was because we had some people who had said they wanted to have people in a painting. And again, that was like looking through my reference photos. I had other ones that were, they felt like they were a little bit more complicated. City scenes, that kind of thing. And they're cool. It would have been cool to paint a city scene too, but you couldn't, it felt like maybe a little bit more, like I said, a little bit more complicated on the, I probably made him a little bit big there. Something's not jiving with this. I probably have this too low. But I'm just going to go with it right now because I don't want to change. I actually feel like the way he is fine in terms of the design. I feel like, you know, sometimes, you know, if you take a little longer, like I was talking about, if I would have done a grid or something like that, I could have made sure that I had those people the exact height that I wanted them to be. Right now they're bigger. They're going to be larger than the scene, the photograph has them. But like in terms of the actual scene and the design, I think it's going to be fine. It's going to work. And so that's why I'm not changing it. But there are times when, you know, you do something and it actually doesn't really work very well. And so, you know, you kind of have to, I'm scooting this little downhill slope over a little ways just so we can have a little variation before it gets to these guys. And this is looking over across toward the mainland because I live on an island. And in a bubble. Just joking. Oh, that's kind of cool. Art Tutor has a place you can load your reference photo and put a grid on it and print it out, or save with the grid in your photo folder. That's kind of cool. That's really cool. I like that. Okay, so then we've got these logs and different stuff down here, right? And all this stuff, like, I mean, what I like about this picture, and just so you know, I took the photo early in the morning. You know, these guys were down there at the beach, and the photo's awesome. So like sometimes you have to like do stuff like that. If you want to get good photos or you want to get good reference, you have to wake up before the sun wakes up, and you have to go out and do that. But I also kind of took the photo and I exaggerated the colors a little bit because they were beautiful, but you know how it is. Your camera just doesn't maintain the feeling of what you see, as well as your imagination and your memory, and you know what you saw. So this is like this is closer to what I saw that morning, but I had to do a little bit of adjusting to the photograph to get it back to look like it really looked. And so that meant I put in a little bit more saturation into the image. And so you may find that you go and you see something, you're like, wow, that's amazing, it's really beautiful. Then you take your photos and you go back and you look at them and you're like, what happened? I don't know why the reference is so lame compared to what I saw. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work, I crop this image. I don't just, when you're doing something, you really have to think about the design, you think about the stuff. But one thing that I really like about this image in general is that you've got a really cool blue that's, in the land back here, and down in this area, there, even on the tops of the rock or the logs, there's this really cool blue. And then you've got this very warm, it's kind of like a peachy orange, right? That is throughout the rest of the painting. So I really love that, the way that those colors work and kind of interact as they complementary colors. Okay, Judy, I see you asking. And by the way, guys, I apologize. I promised that Peter was going to be here with me, and he actually had something happen last night where his computer broke, and something happened where he just wasn't going to be able to make it this morning. He texted me a little bit ago and said, I'm sorry, but do you mind if I don't show up this morning? So, but I do want to say that tonight, what you want to do tonight, I'm going to switch gears here for just a second and take you to YouTube. And if you go to youtube.com/my name, Jed Dorsey, it will take you to our site, right? Or to the YouTube thing. And what you want to see here is this, that obviously this is showing you like my view of it. So, but today later, I'm going to put right here let me see if I can find it. It's because it might not show up here, but we're going to have a celebration tonight, and I just want you to know it's going to happen at 6 o'clock, and hopefully you can see it and join us for it, because it's going to be fun, and we're going to give away the awards tonight there. Not that you have to be there. Oh man, I hate that reference photo was in the way again. But you don't have to be there to receive your award, because I mean we'll give it to you whether you're there or not. But if you are there, it would be fun. So that's happening tonight. And Peter is going to be with me tonight. But one thing that we want to do now is I want to get in here and start putting in some of the values and colors. Gigi, I'm sorry about your
computer's been in the ER all week, so no access to any of your photos. This is on YouTube tonight. Yeah, so Jill, what we're gonna do is gonna be on YouTube tonight. Yeah, the idea of a grid on a clear sheet's really good. So, and I just saw somebody else had asked, do I find that commissions are harder than other paintings? They can be a little bit trickier. I actually don't mind commissions myself. I have a pretty simple process that I work through with them, and I feel like it's helped a ton because I don't feel really anxious about them anymore. And it's just like more about the communication with the client than anything. And so I feel pretty good about the way that they work now for me. But the trickier part is that you're not just painting, like you do have to make sure that your client is happy, right? That's the goal. It's not about you for sure. Like, I mean, obviously you want to be happy with whatever you do, but there's another person involved that is going to. So this is a mix, just so you know, ultramarine blue, black, that's it. And it's kind of thin, so it's going on a little bit. It's a little bit like almost transparent. And I'll have to come back later and make some of the more nuanced things in here, and I could probably add a little bit of phthalo blue, which I'm just doing a little bit right now. The complicated part of a commission, so just a couple days ago, it's just like making sure in the beginning. This is the part for me. So I work with people on the design stage of a painting quite a bit, because that's the most important thing. I feel like if they know what you're gonna do from the beginning, and they have a way to give you feedback in the beginning when you're designing it, that's really important, because you're not just going to show them something in the end and they might go like, oh my goodness, I didn't know really what it was going to look like, and now it's a surprise and I didn't have any input. Now I want you to change it. I want you to, and you're like, I just put in a ton of time. This is terrible. Well, if you work more at the beginning, yay, Facebook user, I can't see your name, but I'm glad you're here. If you put in more time at the beginning of a commission, working with the people and really trying to understand what they're looking for, and then showing them design ideas until they're totally happy with what you've come up with, that's how I go about it now. Is I really, once we agree on a size and a price, I start working on a design with them and showing them, okay, this is what my thought. What do you think of this? And so that's where it can take a little while, right? Because I just was going back and forth with some clients. I showed them an initial design and they said, yeah, that's pretty good. Then they were asking for little changes, small. They weren't big things. They were just kind of little changes. And so I would do a little change, I'd refine it a little bit more, but I wasn't spending too much time, because I don't like to spend too much time on that part, because until they know what they want, and I don't want to like put in hours into a design and then have them say, actually, I don't like the design. So I kind of hold back a little bit on that until, you know, I know for sure that that design is what they want. But what ended up happening with this couple was they ended up saying, hey, can you come over? You know, we just want to talk a little bit more about this. And so I went over, and they're super nice people, and we had a really nice conversation and talk, and looked at their view again, you know, because that's what they wanted a painting of. And they wanted me to see it in different lighting and that kind of thing. But then what ended up happening was, through the conversation, I think the wife realized, like, what she really wanted was something based on it was a totally different image, basically, than what I had originally suggested and what they had kind of agreed to initially. And it was great because it's what she wanted. And I don't even think she knew exactly, you know, what that was until we had kind of worked through it and talked about quite a bit. And so I walked away with a totally different reference and totally different idea than what I had started. So that's the part that can be challenging with a commission, is if your client doesn't really know what they want, it might take a little while to get there. There are other people who they already know. Like they're so what's the word? Like, you don't have to tell them anything. They've already got a complete idea of what they're going for. And sometimes they might be a little bit harder to please in the end because they have such a clear vision of what they want. But this is phthalo blue and white now. I'm just mixing this in because this cloud in here feels like it's got a slightly different kind of blue to it, especially on that bottom half. And the top half has a little bit of a warmer kind of light reflecting down on it from the sky. Okay, so is the initial design a drawing? Yeah, it's actually just what I do is I normally just put it on my I have a Microsoft Surface, which is kind of like a tablet. I have a pencil for it, and so what I usually do is I usually try to find a reference photo that is close to what they want. Because normally people who want me to do a commission for them, it's normally a scene. You know, I'm not making something up usually, although I do have one I'm making up. I mean, every once in a while I do, but most of the time they have an area, like it's from their house or it's you know, something. So I have a reference photo generally that I feel like kind of works. It just needs some customization. And so I usually take that photo and I start editing over the top of it and drawing over the top of it, or quote unquote painting over the top of it with the app. And that's kind of how I go about that. Yeah, but it's a fun process. I actually really do enjoy working with people because when they are getting a commission, they are always wanting to get something that matters, right? Like nobody ever is asking you to paint something that they don't care about. And so it's kind of interesting. You always get to know people a little bit, and you get to see sometimes it's because of, you know, it's for somebody that they love, you know, so it's like a significant relationship of theirs. You know, this one that I'm talking about is husband's giving it to his wife for her birthday, and you know, so that it's kind of cool to see their relationship and that kind of thing. And then yeah, so I like commissions actually. Oh, somebody, yeah, I see you say you're painting on 300-pound. I'm guessing that's watercolor paper. You ran out of small canvases. That's all right. I just ordered some more small. Well, actually, I didn't order them. I need to order some more small canvases. I'm going to today. I've got a couple things I need to order those for. Like, here's the trick right now with what I'm doing. I don't know if I feel like I might be getting these mountains too light in value. They might need to get darker. They just might. How do you get inspired when you totally disagree with what the client wants? Good question, Gigi. I don't think that I ever have totally disagreed with what the client wants, because, you know, as they say in business, your customer is always right. So, like in the end, I really do. That's the way I operate. I just think whatever you say in the end, like I'll always give my opinion. If somebody's saying, well, we think, like the other day in the painting that I just am finishing, it has some people. It's a scene from Rome, and it's a street scene. There's some people in it. And when I first showed it to them, they said, well, we're just not 100% sure, you know, on these people, and, you know, maybe you should take them out. Would it, you know, just, would it make it stronger or something? And I'm like, well, I don't think you should, and I'll tell you why. And in the end, they listened to me and made the right choice. But if they had said, no, we really want to take them out, I would have totally taken them out. I would have just said, okay, it's fine. But what I find is that their thought is, hey, we want to say this, we want to ask this because we don't really know, but this is a thought we have. But then they will often say, but we trust you. Like, this is our thought, but we don't know anything really about art. You're an artist, so we trust you. Just tell us what you think. And this is the idea that we have. And so that's kind of the most common, the way that people are with me is, like, they might suggest something, but they generally don't, like, want to fight over it or want to, like, they're really just like throwing stuff out. And I totally welcome that, because, you know, the worst thing that I think that can happen with a commission is that, well, one, they get something that they aren't actually happy with, right? Like, that would be a real bummer for them. And the other thing that I think that can happen if there's not good communication is they don't say anything, and I'm not welcoming their feedback. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then they go, oh, well, we don't like this, and we don't like this, and we don't like this. But I thought I was done at that point, right? And so for me, it's way easier to engage with them throughout it and get that feedback, so that I'm not blindsided at the end by some random thing that I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't know, I had no idea that you weren't happy with this, and now I have to start over because you you basically didn't like the design from the start. So that's why I don't mind the engagement, and I always do defer to what they want. Like if they're really wanting something, I'll just say, okay, you know, like that's fine. I can do that. Because to me, I mean, commissions are really, like, over the last couple of years, I don't know, that's how I've made my money. I don't, because I've been so busy with Acrylic University, it's like I don't enter shows. I don't do a lot of extra things. I haven't pursued galleries and that kind of thing. I haven't really been having my own sales or anything like that online. I have one show with my brother. I have one gallery here in Washington, in Edmonds, in Edmonds, that I love, and they're awesome. But it's like basically I do commissions, and so for me it's kind of like, you know, whatever they want, whatever they want will win out. The white sky and water, you like it? Fee, nice to have you. I do commissions of show dogs, and they're usually done from really good photos. My concern always is making it look like their dog. Correct expression. Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't do a lot of people or animals or anything like that. I think that that would be a different level of like challenge, because it is. You can't just say, well, you know, no, I mean, that's the beach, that, you know, like that's your house. I mean, it looks pretty much like your house, doesn't it? You know, I mean, I think people are a little bit more lenient with stuff, but a person, or maybe for people who love their pets, you know, their pet would be kind of the same thing. Yeah, that would be like another level of challenge. And I don't think I'm there at that level. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I mean, so BJ, I'm looking at hi Carol. I just see, say hi Jed and Renee. Renee, I'll pass that on to Renee. But BJ, at this point, it can take on many moods by choice of color. You're totally right. Like, you know, if we wanted this to be like stay within this palette, like we could make that kind of bluish, right? Or something way less warm, and it would work. It would be very interesting, actually, to maybe one of you who is painting, if there's anybody painting along, one of you will say, you know what, I want to do it in a different color. That'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what would happen if somebody, you know, painted it in, you know, something totally different than what the photograph has, because as it is pretty versatile. You could move in different directions here. So Suzanne, you say, I agree with commissions. Commissions are commissions for individuals. However, I did 3 murals for a committee in my town. I'm sorry, that was a nightmare. Kept changing the design. Oh, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've never gotten into that kind of world, like where, you know, some artists do a lot of public work, and I've never done it. I don't really want to. And there's an appeal to it. I mean, like, I know you can make pretty good money sometimes with those kind of things, but it's like a totally different animal. And I don't know if I would want to, especially after hearing what you say. Like, I think it's hard enough when you have one or two people that you're trying to, you know, like they're trying to make a decision. But if you get a committee involved, something like that, boy, that can be really rough. I will, Judy, I see, say, can't wait to see how you mix the peachy color. I don't even really know how I'm going to mix that peachy color. We'll see. We were driving home the other night, my wife and daughter and I, and we were looking at the sunset. And it was kind of it was an interesting evening because it wasn't raining where we were, but it was like there were these clouds off on the horizon. They were towards the sun as the sun was going down. And it was like, I don't know, it was like almost like a veil of color that spread across the whole horizon. Like it was color all over. And it was really, I mean, it was like incredibly beautiful. But we were looking at the color of it. We're like, what color is that? Because it felt like it was peachy. Like it wasn't yellow. It wasn't pink. It was kind of peachy. But then it faded into almost like a purple really quickly. Like, and you just had like these, it's so hard to describe. Like Willow was doing a really good job of describing it, but it was incredibly, like, it was just really interesting, right? And it was a color like a peachy color, and I'm like, I don't know how I would paint that, because it's not and I guess this could be an opportunity. It reminded me, I don't know if you know Michael or the artist, now his name, Renato Mucillo. He's a Canadian, and he's paints in oils, but he does these really, usually they're pretty, like, it's funny because his perception of his work is different than my perception of his work, because he'll describe it as being like loose and, you know, kind of like, I keep these painterly brush strokes, and I'm like, boy, you've got a different definition of painterly or, you know, loose, because I feel like they're very detailed, you know, paintings, but they're, like, I was thinking about it yesterday, because I think because he's striving for looseness, even if it doesn't come across like the looseness that I would describe, I think it probably does make an impact in how it actually looks, because his paintings are really gorgeous. And he does these scenes sometimes at dusk where he has this glowing light kind of in the, you know, coming from, you know, where the sun is going down, and they are probably the closest to what I was seeing that night with Renee and Willow, because I feel like they had more of that tone, that color. Yeah, his work is amazing, Rachel, isn't it? It's so beautiful. One of the things that I look at his work and I'm like, why does it work so well? Because I really don't like really, really tight work. But I'll tell you why I like his work so much. It's because he has like areas that are super, super tight. Like he would have in here, he'd have like 1,000 little tiny brush strokes. But then what he almost always does is he has other areas of his painting that are like clouds and big skies and stuff like that, that are very, like they might have a lot of brush strokes, but it's so blended and soft that it provides this counterpoint to all the detail, and it like works really, really well. I love it. What color green is that in the corner? This is permanent green light. This is a palette that I set up, and Willow wanted different colors on here, so because she was using it. So that's why that's up there. Marlene, hello from Toronto. Glad you're here. And thank you. I appreciate that. Helen, I don't know if you're talking to me, if I'm talking about myself, or if somebody else is talking about. Oh, you're talking about Rachel. Oh, Rachel's talking about, she's talking about Renato Mucillo. That's who that is. Yeah. Okay. See, look, I'm late because I always like go back and I try to do it in order, and I see the comments that were like 3 minutes ago, and you guys have already answered it. By the time I get down to the bottom, I see that people are already. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do to kind of get some of this color. We're going to try, and this is just cadmium yellow and white, and this is naphthol red. Okay, so but if you have cadmium red, it's going to be pretty similar. And for some reason it looks like I'm getting a little green coming out in my brush because I probably had a little tiny bit of remnants from the blue that I had mixed up earlier. That's too red. So it's like a really, really, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. And then the other thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need a really, really, really light blue. And I'm probably going to just grab a tiny bit of phthalo blue here so that I can, because this light blue kind of comes in on right here underneath the land at the very top of the water. There's this light blue, and it's very, very light, like almost white. I mean, that's probably not totally accurate, but the one that I'm putting down is almost white. I look back at the reference and it's probably a little darker than what I'm doing, but we'll see. This is all, again, I was talking yesterday about how sometimes that black is coming up a little bit. It's going to interfere with this. That's why those paint pens, somebody was talking about that the other day. Sometimes they smudge a bit, they come up a little bit. We've got these lines that kind of cut across the canvas. I was actually kind of thinking about taping off these people and showing you how I mean, you can use tape pretty easily with acrylic paints, right? And it's pretty interesting. Like, then you can just go right over this whole whole thing and not really worry about these edges at all. You're not as careful, but it takes longer to, it kind of can take a little while getting all the tape where you want it. If you know, we've looked at Michael O'Toole's work in the past, and if you've been through like the module on atmosphere, I'm pretty sure in there I talk about some of his methods of taping that, you look at the work and you're like, how do you accomplish this? And then you like, the only answer is, through the use of tape to like be able to have the brush strokes and provide like this incredibly clean kind of feel. But oops, it's a little complicated. Like, it's cool. It's like super cool looking, in my opinion. I like it, and I loved his work so much. But it's also like, man, to actually do it, it's just not quite as easy as maybe what I would like it to be. Especially if you're painting like this and it's a live thing. It would take so long to tape stuff off that you guys would you get bored, want to go home. Well, maybe you are at home. You know what I mean. I've got a question. You guys could help me here for a second. And this is, I have no idea. Sometimes I have so many ideas, and then I'm like, I don't know if this is a worthwhile idea or what. And I kind of have a feeling already on this, and maybe like if it's worth it or not or anything, but I would like to get your feedback. So there's some of you are on Facebook right now. Some of you are on YouTube right now. We have our community on Facebook. But like, there are other apps. There are things that you can do that kind of integrate with your site. Sometimes you can get something that's a little bit more, well, it'd be like you just stay on the Acrylic University site. And so, like, for instance, we could be doing this and you might be on something that's kind of connected, and then you could share your paintings. It'd be kind of like a community thing that's on the site. Now, pros are, some people don't like Facebook. Like, Facebook steals your information. Oh, I shouldn't say steals your information, but they have your information. They use your information. You get ads from Facebook, like you get ads. Facebook pays, gets paid for selling your information to people so that they, can show you their ads. We're doing it right now too. Like, I mean, it's not like that's bad. It's just, it is what it is. But the question I have is, how many people are there people who really don't like Facebook because of that? Is it a real issue? If we had something on our site, do you feel like you would be more inclined to use it? Or what do you think are the pros and cons of that? Because to do something is, and an investment. There's a part of it that I really love, because I like, I love the idea of having things integrated, but then there's this other part that's like, well, a lot of people are already on Facebook, and that's what helps them get engaged, is they go on Facebook for some random reason, and then Facebook shows them a notification from the Acrylic University community, and then they are like, oh yeah, I should go in there and look at that. Like, this is the stuff that I don't really know how it works for you guys, or like what is, appealing, or like even in the challenge group, right? Like, we could run a challenge through our own site if we had that set up, and not really use Facebook for it. What do you think of that, though? One of the only reasons I'm on there is for AU. I know. Well, that's what I find. Like, because I get more, like, I guess sometimes, like, I get more people saying, hey, do you have an alternative? I want to post my paintings, or I want to do something, but I don't really use Facebook. And so that's probably part of what has made me wonder. But it's like, man, we did it before. We had something through the platform we're on, and we tried it out early on because some people said that they didn't really want to be on Facebook. And but the solution that came with the platform is really not a good solution. It's like really kind of lame, and it doesn't work as well. And I don't know if there's going to be anything that works as, like, in terms of like the way that what it looks like on Facebook, because I mean, think about, yes, there's lots of distractions, but if you're in the community, it can be pretty cool and pretty engaging, because I mean, they design it to be addicting, right? I mean, that's the whole point. They want you to stay on there forever. And so, and they have millions of, could billions of dollars to do it and make it kind of whatever. So it's like this thing where I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if, sometimes I start looking into something and I'm like, is this even worth looking into? James, I don't use Facebook. I know lots of people use it, but I'm leery of it. I know what, and I think that you're not alone for sure. I mean, I think that there's, yeah. I mean, I find like there's totally different thought processes with it, right? Like, some people just kind of, just live with it, and they're like, I'm just whatever. I don't care that much. It's not a big deal. Like, I mean, that's kind of been my thing, like a long time ago, like years and years ago, before there was anybody else really saying anything about it. I had a friend who's like, yeah, I don't use Facebook. You shouldn't use Facebook. They own your information. If you read the fine print, like, you don't own any of that stuff. Once it's on there, they can use it forever, that kind of thing. And I was like, I don't really care. I mean, I'm not that private of a person, obviously. But that's my personality, right? Like, it doesn't bother me that much, but I know that there's a lot of different ways of thinking it. Stick with Facebook. I wish I didn't have to use YouTube for the same reason. Yeah, I don't like the idea of yet one more platform to have to go to. I stay between Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah. It's easier to comment chat on Facebook than YouTube. Interesting. You only have the 2 AU groups. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's no one really has control over there. Yeah, I know it's an interesting thing. Oh, you were a child therapist and had to quit when patients and parents tried to friend you. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, totally. I remember going and seeing a counselor like quite a few years ago, and he was like, man, he felt like a friend, right? Like, and I remember saying like asking him, I was like, so like, I don't know, I don't remember what I asked him or something, but I said something like how are you like my friend or what? Like, because um, and he said, well, basically like he was cool. I mean, he said something like, I don't have a problem like over time, if people like if we kind of like stay in each other's lives over time, but like if you're still close to being in counseling with me, it's probably not the kind of thing that, because I was like, hey, do you want to come to my art show or something like that. I can't even remember what I was talking to him about, but he's like, well, but I think it's interesting because counseling, you feel like you have this connection, right? Like you feel like, oh man, like they're really listening to me, and I'm sharing all these, like these things that I'm going through, that I've been through, and surely like, and for the counselor, I don't know what it's like exactly because I'm not a counselor, but I'm imagining it would be, quite a bit different from your perspective. Oh, interesting. Okay, Diane. It's always interesting. I always forget when people tell me that they use like their husband's account or something like that. So Diane, I appreciate you saying your name there. That's funny. Hard to visit in person. We are in lockdown. I want to say something about some of you. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you can watch stuff on YouTube and you can put it on your big screen. Yeah, it's crazy. So one of the what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So somebody suggested, because I really appreciate. I want to say thank you again for filling out the survey. Most of you, I'm sure, have filled it out at this stage, and it was super helpful. It's really amazing for us to be able to get feedback, right? And there was a couple people who said something like, "Hey, I wish that you could do this over Zoom, and then we could hang out together and like see each other and that kind of thing." And I think maybe if you're watching it on Facebook or on something, you only see that there's like 10 people watching, or I don't know how many people are in each place. But if you put it together, like there's 80 people watching right now, which is too many to have on a Zoom meeting. So I like the idea in general of that kind of thing, but most of the time, if you think that it's small enough to have on a platform like Zoom, you're probably not seeing all the people. So that's why I'm not going to do that kind of thing. And I'm adding a little bit more yellow up to the sky up here and making it a little bit deeper, because I think I'm gonna just bring in a little bit more color and variation into this. But the idea is a good one. Just wanted to say that I heard that
But if you don't see me doing anything different, it's not because I don't like the idea. It's just practically, realistically, like, that's why I like doing stuff on YouTube. You know, we've realized like it's easier. Like, it is about convenience, right? A lot of times it's like, you know, somebody said even in this earlier, so I don't want to give you guys hope that we're going to do something. Those of you who are like, oh yes, I really like want to go on to a totally private community. Like this morning, I was looking at it, and I actually had the conversation with somebody from one of these companies, which I shouldn't have done this morning because it was distracting and got me a little bit late in getting ready for this. But I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, I just don't think it's going to be worth it. It's like, it's actually pretty dang expensive to do one of those things. And what I would really hate is investing a bunch of money, time, energy, trying to get people to transfer over, and realizing that then everybody else had to learn a new thing. They had to like try out this thing, and then it's like not as good as what you know, what we're hoping. Now, having said all that, I still might like do a test with some people. If there were people that were like, you know, but I don't use Facebook, and I'm not going to use Facebook, and I would appreciate an alternative community, you know, and if that's you, you know, let me know, because I could set up potentially, like, at least like set up something where you could have an alternative, or at least like test out for us an alternative, because I wouldn't even want to like open it up to anybody if I wasn't pretty confident that it was a good alternative, because I already have a bad alternative on the platform that we use. So if it's just another bad alternative, I mean, I'd be more inclined to just say, well, here, just use the bad alternative that we already have, because I'm not going to pay any extra for that. So if it's a bad alternative, let's just use that. But anyways, if you're interested in doing a test, or if you really like want to post paintings and you don't feel comfortable using Facebook or something like that, let me know, because I could, like I say, give you a test opportunity. Yeah, I know that's the problem with like Facebook for me is that sometimes you lose track. Like, you see something and then it gets lost and you can't find it again, or it's hard to find it if you didn't save the post or something like that, or they don't stay in order. But the thing about it, oh, well, yeah, Janine, I'm just looking at that. You should access that by Sunday. I forgot to put that in the email, but that offer you need to get on that, because it's not going to be there. We're going to take that away. So make sure you do it by Sunday. That's for those of you who, well, really the idea is that because it's for the class tomorrow. That's like why I'm doing it right now. And we have that included. So basically we're giving you a trial run, and you can come to the live class, which is happening tomorrow. So those of you who have been here all week, you're like, why would I go to another live class? Or maybe you're like, oh, that sounds fun. I don't know. But it'll be a little bit different than these, because I get caught up talking about stuff, and you know, that'll be a little bit more focused. All the foregrounds of sunset pictures bluish, or can they pick up local color or look purple in shadows? Wow, I don't like, so, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not referring to, when I'm looking at the colors that you see, you have to trust me that the colors that I have on my canvas are more, they're more peachy. What you see looks really yellow and not that accurate to what's going on. But one thing that I'm looking at here, and I think I'm going to adjust, is there are a lot of values that I think I need to make a little bit darker. And some of it's down here. And then, but some of it's up here. And I think that it would help with the overall feeling of this. So I'm going to do a really quick effort in this, but I'm not going to be able to take too long because it's almost time. We got to go. But I hope that you guys know. So I'll probably be here for another 10 minutes doing this. But let's talk about tonight. You guys, make sure you show up. Try to come. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to give away those prizes. And you'll probably, hopefully, you know, again, this is part of it. Like, we want to showcase stuff that you guys have done, and we're going to be pulling it pretty much from social media, right? Like, we're going to be going, Peter's actually, that's one of the things he's doing today, is he's going into the groups, and or the group, pretty much, but he's also trying to grab some stuff from Instagram, because if people post his stuff on Instagram, he's looking for the hashtag AU KickstART. And so we're going to try to showcase some of the stuff that you guys have been working on and doing, because we think it's so cool. So you'll hopefully have a chance to see a painting of yours on there. And I really apologize in advance if, you know, we miss people, because we more than likely will. There's a lot of stuff to look through and to find, but and I'm not even necessarily going to have a hand in what he comes up with, because I'm leaving town next Monday. I've got so many things to do before I go. It's crazy. And that's why I got, like, this morning, I'm like, why did I spend time looking at all this stuff on these different communities? Because it's, man, it can be a distraction. But it's always fascinating to me, and we want to serve you guys in the best way. We want to give you the best experience. Like, for me, that's really what it's about. It's like, because even in my conversation with the guy this morning, he's like, well, what's your goal? And I said, it's just user experience. I want people to have the best experience possible with what we do. And that's where I'm not convinced. Like, if I was convinced that it was the best user experience, I would probably do it. But I don't know, maybe if we had a custom thing built, like maybe in 5 years, when we're actually have money for that kind of thing, we could do something that would be custom and our own. Until then, I don't know. The problem with doing something custom and all that kind of stuff is that then you have to maintain it, which is not fun. The first website that we built for Acrylic University it wasn't custom totally, but it was kind of. It was like we paid a guy to help us build it, and the problem was that it was like, then we had to have him do everything. Like, he had to do everything, and we couldn't make any little change or anything. So we ended up getting off of that, and we found a platform that allowed us to make more of the little changes that we need to make. Like, because a lot of times it's just like little things, and it's so much nicer to have the ability to do it yourself when you need to. And if there was ever a techie thing, like you're so dependent, and then you only have like, I don't know, like if you're part of a bigger thing, what is nice is there's a bunch of other people who are going through the exact same thing. So for instance, if you are on Facebook, for instance, and Facebook has an issue, like something went wrong with one of the things they're doing, well, guess what? There's going to be a billion people who reach out to Facebook and say, there's a problem with what you did and you need to fix this. And they're going to have 10,000 workers going crazy trying to fix it, right? Whereas if it's like a custom thing that you are on by yourself and you built, and something goes wrong with it, and you've got 100, or you got, say you got 500 people who are using it, and they're all mad because, and so they're all reaching out to you, and you have 500 people saying, what you did is stupid, you need to fix this. And then you've got one guy or two guys who are supposed to fix all of that, and they don't even work for you full time because they're just like developers and, you know, like that kind of thing. That's why I realized, oh man, if you can just like get into something that somebody else is already doing. You know, Julie, yes. So like we can put stuff on YouTube. I mean, on our like from YouTube, like we can live stream some stuff on our site. Here's the only issue. Like if you're on our site, you can't access the chat. And so it kind of like YouTube makes it so that like they don't really want you to embed their live stream on your site, like so they're going to make it, they want you to be on their site essentially, so they make it harder to see it, but to see the chat and engage and all that stuff. We do have another thing, we use Vimeo also. So like when we do a live class, it's on our site and we do it through Vimeo, and there's a chat that comes with that, and it's great. Like it works great. But the only issue is that we would not see your chat if we're going live and we're not on that at the same time. So it's like there's all these different solutions for things, but it's really challenging to figure out how they work together, because yeah, they just, a lot of times things, they feel like they're a good solution for a little while, but then, you know, so I'm putting in this bit of sunlit. I guess it's kind of sunlit. It's not really the sun yet, but it's coming up. Sunrise is kind of touching the tops of this cloud that floats through here. Yeah, I mean, I like this painting. It's always fun when you like a painting when you're done with it, right? Like it's not necessarily a given. I feel like there's plenty of times when I'm not super happy with it, but it's always nice when it feels like you got the feeling that you were going for. So the top edge of that, you're going to see me smudging quite a bit, that cloud, because I want that to be really, I want it to feel soft, right? And I saw Hunter, if you are part of Acrylic University, I saw a post from him yesterday where he said he found that smudging with a dry finger is not as effective as smudging with, like, if he puts a little bit of water on his finger or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, like, you find different things that work, but the main goal of it is that you're creating a soft edge there. And so whatever it takes, right? It's like whatever it takes to get that soft edge, you know, if that's licking your finger or dipping it in water every time you are trying to create that soft edge smudge, then that's what you got to do. But I really do appreciate you guys' input on these things. It's good to get feedback. And I apologize in advance that we can't meet everybody's desires perfectly, but we do the best that we can to make what we do as accessible as possible to as many people as possible without, you know, like, within the limitations that we have. Okay, so got that hill, and now one more increase in making it a little bit lighter one more time, and then come back through here. So that looks pretty similar to what was down there, but it's gonna, this still dries. I want it to be a little bit darker, but it still dries a little bit darker than, even though these are the Winsor Newtons and they don't have as much color shift, I do notice that they still have a little bit of color shift. So if you're using them, don't expect them to be totally free from that. They still do a little bit, but it's not as much. But I feel like, you know, when I was looking, and I really am kind of bugged by the fact that you can't see the yellow. I think yellow is one of the hardest colors for cameras to accurately portray, or orange, because it, like, I feel bad because somebody was asking specifically, show us how you mix this orange color, and I can just say that it looks so different to me than when I look up and I see what it's showing on the screen. Okay. There's a little bit of, it's not really a highlight, but there are a couple of little things down here that kind of show that it's water. You know, you get that little bit of reflected light going off of the edge of something that's sitting on the surface of the water or whatever. Okay, well, I think that that's probably as good as I am going to make it right now. I think there could be a little bit more done down here to smooth that out a little bit. See, this is an example of where you can tell that there still is a bit of color shift because that is darker than when I put it down. And even up here, there's a little bit more in there. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you had as much fun as I did. Remember, tonight, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, 9 o'clock p.m. East Coast time for you 9 owls on the East Coast. Make sure that you stay up for that, and we're going to have a good time. Love you all. Post your paintings. Use the hashtag AUKickstART, and we'll try to get as many of them into our show tonight as possible. And keep up the great work. I hope that you had a great week and that you're able to celebrate with us tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to have our live class. All of you are invited. If you registered, you got an email this morning that has a ticket for you. Even if you're not a member, we're giving that to you. So make sure that you do that if you want to. And anyways, we'll see you guys tonight. Have an awesome rest of the day.